Sargent, centre wing. Lawrence versus Smith. Lawrence over the back. Ben Allen was in there. Here's a chance for the Crows. Scott Lee to half forward. Langford went without it. Here's a chance for Darryl Hart on the left foot. He kicks a goal and he puts it out on the full, I think.
He had Brown running past. He could have got it across there and he tries to screw it back himself.
Well, here's Langford.
I'm going to be a hero here. I better look for someone to blame. Brownie, what didn't you call?
2 minutes and 14 seconds of play left, and Hawthorn lead by 5 points.
Oh, fantastic contest here at Waverley. The Crows in attack. A goal will put them in front. McDermott. This is going to land 45 metres out. Hacked out of there.
Oh!
Crows have it. The hand pass to Hart. And Darryl Hart. Has it cleared the line? Yes!
I obviously knew I messed up pretty bad the kick before, and it just happened to bounce to me, and I thought, well, here we go. But I actually thought it was touched there, and then with great relief realised it went through.
6.5 minutes remaining. That might have been it, but it's not, and the Saints still have a chance. Shanahan straight down the centre. Ross set himself. Micken tapped it forward. Harvey's been busy in the last quarter. Play on court. Ross's handball. McDermott maybe should have left it for Hart. Goes for goal. Rolling goal. Goal. The captain has kicked the goal, which could sink the Saints.
At that stage, I had no idea where I was. Just wanted the game to finish. I didn't want Darryl to get the goal, and just thought I'd hog it because Jar and I had a $50 bet as to who'd finished with most goals at the end of the year. Bad luck, Andrew, I just said.
McDermott had his 300th senior game last week against Fitzroy. Opportunity here. McQueen charges hard at the ball. Overruns it. Back to McGuinness. Left foot snapshot. What's good, and he's got it.
Well, I've been around the goals for a while, waiting to get hold of it. As you can see, Johnny Clegg didn't want to handball it there, and the ball luckily spilled off the pack and fell on top of it and just happened to pick it up and put it through for a goal. I think they commonly call that type of goal a goal out your backside.
Tense, tight match. So much at stake for St Kilda. Adelaide playing for pride, wanting 4 in a row. They haven't done that in their 2 seasons. Ralph Smith okay to Shanahan. Wobbly kick, important ball. Oh, Jarman. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Drop punt pass is a gem. Oh, it's as good as you'll ever see. That bit of footy.
There's some talent in that family.
Isn't that like a Darryl Baldock or Ian Stewart? That was just fantastic.
Unbelievable play, Andrew Jarman.
I'd go anywhere to watch that sort of play. Look at this. And the disposal was immaculate.
Well, as you can see, I was going for a little stroll and I saw a couple, and there was the ball, and I had a little bit of a look, and there's Grinder.
It'd break your heart if you're Jarman if he misses this. That's putting the pressure on him, I know, but...
And Grinder missed the goal as well.
He has. Well,
Barnes in front. Micken just pushes him out of the road and then taps the ball out productively. McDermott, lip tack, Jarman. Andrew Jarman off the left foot. Magnificent skill.
Nice tap there by Rubbers. McDermott throws the ball to Lippy, and one of his great kicks, Lippy. The ball's there. It was a goal from straight away, and I'd like to thank all my supporters. A bit of a kiss, a bit of a cuddle. There you go. Thank you very much. I love yous all.
Micken and Moncourse. Oh, Micken off the goal. Oh, unbelievable. Unreal. Well, if Dacos kicked it, you'd say it's par for the course. What a clever goal. 11-8.
Have a look at this, Mum. No hands. Maradona, eat your heart out. Beats class every time.
Well, Mark, it was magic at the time. It was still unbelievable and still unreal, that goal of Mark Mickens at Victoria Park. Hi, I'm Bruce McAvaney. Welcome to Football Park's Convention Centre for the 1992 Adelaide Crows Club Champion Award. I wonder who'll be wearing the gold jacket, the traditional gold jacket now that Mark Micken won in 1991, and the medal that goes with it. Well, he is a man of first, Mark Micken, isn't he? He was the first Brisbane Bears captain, the first club champion for Adelaide, and Ron Barassi said, Mark, that in 40 years of footy, he's never seen a goal like that. So you're the inaugural winner of the Ron Barassi Unique Goal Award. Well done to Mark Micken. A tremendous performance. What a finale for him. Andrew Jarman being very shy too in the opening sequence as normal. Well, it has been a very, very long and rewarding season for the Adelaide Crows, a season that could have gone wrong at one stage. There were 6 wins from 16 matches, but they finished the season with a flurry, and there's just so much to look forward to in 1993. 3 matches that I remember particularly, 2 here at Football Park, one against St Kilda when there was a lot to play for the Saints, one against Geelong the next week when the fans set a record of over 46,000 people at this ground, and that one on the Queen's birthday long weekend when the 2 Jarman boys were at their very best at Waverley Park, and the Crows won in a thriller against Hawthorn. I wonder who will win tonight. Will Mark surprise and win for a second time? Will Micken take home that gold jacket again? Or will it be Sean Wren, the young tyro who's created such a reputation right around Australia this year? Or maybe Chris McDermott, Captain Courageous. What a season he's had, all 22 matches, more possessions than any other man in the game, and the vice-captain of the AFL team. Or maybe his great mate, the other Mac, Tony McGuinness, who played so brilliantly well at the end of the season. Or Mark Bickley, Mr Consistency, given a job every week. He just got better and better. And what about Ben Hart, the youngest player who played, the youngest of the 40 players who played this season, turned 18 during the season, AFL Rookie of the Year in the AFL team and played all 22. Or maybe the genius himself, Andrew Jarman, who provided so much magic. I just wonder who will be winning that gold jacket at the end of the night. It's been a pretty long season, a season that commenced last October pre-season and with Foster's Cup matches in February. To refresh our memory, here's Max Stevens.
Pre-season camps are something every footballer looks forward to. Well, that's how the story goes. And for the second year, Rafford Bay was the venue for the Adelaide Crows. But the 1992 trip will be remembered for years to come as one of the more unusual. Cross-country endurance, fitness, motivation, yes, teamwork. And we couldn't leave out fire walking at midnight. We also will never forget motivation guru Paul Blackburn. So from the hot coals to the Foster's Cup, and after a series of trial games, Adelaide met Carlton at Football Park and dominated from the first bounce. To keep the punters happy, Collingwood came to town for a trial, a match that had everything, no matter how big or how small you were. Again, Adelaide stole the show and the Magpies flew home disappointed. The Crows then ventured to Waverley Park for a Foster's Cup night encounter against the Dogs. After beating the Blues by 40 points in their first match, the SA boys repeated the dose with a fine 39-point belting over Footscray. However, in the semi-finals of the competition, they met the Roys. The Lions were roaring. The Crows simply couldn't match Fitzroy and lost by 31 points. With the Foster's Cup out the road, round 1 of the minor series was just around the corner.
So the scene was set for the 1992 season. We should mention Hawthorn went on to win the Foster's Cup, creating a remarkable record for Alan Joyce in 5 competitions. They'd won 5 premierships at that stage. I mentioned earlier a long season, 5 trial matches, 3 Foster's Cup matches and 22 home and away matches. Credit to the players and the staff here at the Adelaide Football Club that they were able to finish the season off so strongly. At the commencement of the program, in our opening sequence, we showed you some Adelaide Crows magic moments, and the players that were involved reflected on those moments. Well, throughout the night, we're going to introduce you to a number of young players. We're going to call them the Young Guns, who could provide the future for this club throughout the 1990s. And let's start with a man. Yes, you too, Sean. Let's start. That's not the last time you'll be on TV tonight, Sean, so get used to it. Let's start with a man who created such an impression. Last year, he was the first and the inaugural South Australian Adelaide Crows player to be selected in the AFL Team of the Year. He's 23 years of age. He had a brilliant end of the season. He started the season in the headlines for more ways than one. Of course, I'm talking about Nigel Smart.
I'm Sean James Tasker. My nickname's Task, and I'm a physical education teacher. And my star sign is Gemini. I'm single and I like to watch heaps of movies, so therefore my favourite movies are Apocalypse Now and The Last Boy Scout. My favourite male actor is Harrison Ford, and my favourite female actress is Kim Basinger. My favourite TV programs are... I've forgotten. I've been able to move my sheep, hang on. But I don't get to watch much telly, everyone's training. My favourite TV programs are Bugs Bunny Show with Sophie Lee when we're not training, otherwise Married with Children. My favourite artist is U2, and I like the album Tung Baby. My favourite other sports are tennis and golf, and when I can get the chance, a bit of water skiing. My most memorable occasion is my debut game for the Crows, standing Dacos at Victoria Park, and also the 1991 North Adelaide Grand Final. My most embarrassing moment is when Tom Warhurst ran through me on the Nord Oval, and I threw up everywhere, and it was all on the TV and all in the papers. My most admired person is Jimmy Connors, because he's been able to stay at the top for so long. The person I'd most like to meet is Michael Jordan, because the man is an absolute superstar. My ultimate fantasy would be to have dinner with Jim Morrison of The Doors and Elvis Presley. If I had the opportunity to meet anyone else in the world, it would be Nigel Smart, because he's the only one I know that successfully has firewalked. And that's a sledge.
Sean Tasker and Nigel Smart starring there on either sides of the break. Sean had a terrific year, particularly against Sydney when Graham Corn threw him into attack and he kicked those 5 goals. I still can't believe it. Sean, well done. A great year, as I said, 13 games in 1992. Well, the voting system's a little bit different this year. The 5 selectors are John Halbert, Bob Hammond, Graham Corns, Michael Taylor and Trevor Jakes. But this season they were each given a 5-4-3-2-1, whereas last season we just had 5 for the best player for the Crows in each match. This season they can receive up to 25 votes in each match. Now, it's a club champion award as distinct from a best and fairest, so every player who played for the Crows this year is eligible to win. Now, we've already counted the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th preference votes, and during the night I'll be announcing the first preference votes as we go through the round. So let's have a look at the board now and we see who's leading after the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th preference votes. Chris McDermott is 9 in front of Ben Hart and Tony McGuinness. So it's McDermott 135, Hart 126, McGuinness 126, Sean Wren in 4th placing with 96, Mark Bickley with 85, and then Jarman, Lee and Liptak as we go through the first 6 rounds of the AFL season.
Round 1 and Adelaide played host to Footscray before a capacity crowd at Football Park. A game many thought Adelaide would win and win well. But the Dogs jumped out of the box in impressive style. At quarter time they led 6-3 to 2-3. Bad kicking for goal was always going to be Adelaide's downfall. A goalless third term gave Footscray the edge it needed. And despite a 6-goal fall last quarter, the Dogs breezed home. 17-12 to 12-15. A bye in round 2 gave Graham Corns plenty of time to regroup, but heading to Princes Park for their first away game of the season was always going to be tough. Round 3 and Melbourne. For 3 quarters, the two sides battled neck and neck with only 1 point separating them at 3-quarter time. This time, good kicking for goal in the last term would be Adelaide's high point. 15-14 was enough to beat the Demons 13-17 and a win on Victorian soil.
That might be Melbourne's last opportunity, and there's the siren. Adelaide has won it, and it's
A week later, they returned to Princes Park to meet Fitzroy in round 4. The Crows were out for revenge after losing to the Roys during the Foster's Cup. The Crows may have led at the first change, but after that it was all over. Fitzroy 19-16 to 14-13.
You've got to get a left foot to it. Snapshot. Oh, what a great goal. Has he got that in hand?
Round 5 saw Adelaide in fine spirits, back on their home turf and their own supporters behind them. The Crows were back in business. Richmond was never in the hunt as the Crows played a winning formula that would stay with them for the next week. 23-13 to 17-15 was a welcome return to form. Round 6 and the Brisbane Bears also at Football Park. This too was a one-horse race as far as the Crows were concerned. It may have been close at quarter time, but after that the Gold Coast connection couldn't keep it together as Adelaide ran riot, on many occasions doing as it liked. 19-20 to 11-8.
Adelaide off to a good start. 3 wins from their first 5 matches. After the 6th round, they were in 5th position on the AFL ladder as we now check the votes from those matches. And we start with the match against Footscray. Remember, there are 25 up for grabs. The 5 selectors each have 5 votes to give to the best player for the Adelaide Crows. Rodney Maynard received 15 votes, Mark Bickley 5 and Ben Hart 5 from the opening match. A bye round 2, round 3 against Melbourne. Chris McDermott got the lion's share here with 20 and Wayne Wiedemann with 5. Round 4 against Fitzroy, and the 2 players to poll here were Tony McGuinness, who received 3 first preference votes for 15, and Ben Hart again amongst the votes with 10. Round 5 against Richmond, Chris McDermott again to the fore with 15 votes, and Simon Tregenza with 10 with 2 first preferences. And to round 6 against Brisbane, well, Andrew Jarman played pretty well this day, and he got all 25 votes from the selectors. So as we check the leaders board after the first 6 rounds of the season, we see that Chris McDermott has stretched it a bit. He leads by 29. Ben Hart and Tony McGuinness in equal second position. Andrew Jarman has moved up 2 positions, has moved into 4th place on 102, and Sean Wren is holding down 5th place on 96.
My name's Sean Jason Wren. My nickname is Pussy, and when I'm not playing football I cut lawns for a living. My star sign is Leo, and I'm a single man. My favourite movie is Dead Pie Society, starring Robin Williams, and he also happens to be my favourite actor as well. My favourite female actress is Sharon Stone, and if you've seen the latest movie, you'll know why. My favourite TV program is Cheers. My favourite artist is Pink Floyd, and also my favourite album is Pink Floyd Momentary Lapse of Reason, mainly because it's just a very relaxing type of music. My favourite sports and leisure activities when I'm not playing football, although we don't get much time to do it, I like basketball, cricket, and also have a motorbike which I often ride when I've got the opportunity. My most memorable occasion was my first game for the Crows, and the instance when I was running off the ground before the ball was bounced, and the captain and vice captain yelling out to stop me, to wish me good luck. My most embarrassing moment was in Melbourne at the start of the year when we've gone over and we've just had a 2-hour meeting with Graham Cords about the game the next day, and we went down the street to play some pinball, and a few kids come up and asked us who we're playing the next day, and I couldn't actually tell them because I couldn't remember, so I actually had to tell these kids that I didn't know who we were playing. So. My most admired person would have to be Mark Micken because of his eternal youth. I think the person I'd most like to meet would be Dame Edna Everidge because when he or she are on fire, I think they're a great couple, and it'd be very funny. Well, my ultimate fantasy would be, I'm sure everyone's covered Ellie McPherson, but to ride and win in a 500cc motorbike race. If I had the opportunity to be anyone else in the world, I think I'd be Rose Hancock because I think she's on a pretty good wicket. Howdy, my name's Sean Jason Wren. My nickname is Pussy, and I'm a lawnmower. Oh, my lawnmower. Oh, well, my occupation is lawnmowing.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Martin Hart. My nicknames are Bluey or Youngblood, and when I'm not playing footy, I'm a student. My star sign is Cancer. I am single, but I have a girlfriend whose name's Naomi. Favourite movie would probably be all the Rocky movies. I don't know, I'd like the boxing a bit, so like them. My favourite male actor would probably be Mel Gibson or Sylvester Stallone. I don't know why they can be both, I suppose, funny and macho at the same time. I like that a bit. And probably female actor would be Michelle Pfeiffer, I reckon. Well, you can tell by looking at her. Favourite TV program would probably be Married with Children, I reckon. Some of the stuff that happened in there is just unbelievable. They're classics. Favourite artist, I don't really have a favourite artist. I like sort of all bands, any music that's out at the moment. My favourite album would probably be Young Guns 2, I reckon. Favourite sport other than footy, I don't really have a favourite sport other than footy. I play a lot, like a bit of basketball, tennis, anything really, anything that's going on, I have a go at. I'd say my most memorable occasion would be the first AFL game this season. I wasn't really expecting to play. I wanted to get a few games in this year, and when I got the first one, it was excellent. The most embarrassing moment I think would be Saturday after the last game when we had a bit of a mishap outside of Daryl Hart's pub. Most admired person would be, I think, Mark Micken, because he's the love machine. Yeah, I think probably the person I'd most likely to meet would be someone like Ayrton Senna. Like, driving those Grand Prix cars, there's a special art to that, and I'd like to do that one day. If I had the opportunity to be anybody else, I wouldn't mind being probably Greg Norman, because all he has to do is hit a little ball around the park and get heaps of money. Ultimate fantasy would probably be to make as much money as Tony McGuinness, or just play for about 20 years AFL footy.
And I think he might be on the way to 20 years. He's on the way to 22 matches with Mark Micken coming in for a bit of stick tonight. The love machine, eternal youth, Ben Hart. Just one of two teenagers, by the way, in that AFL Team of the Year. The other teenager, another South Australian, Gavin Wanganeen. So it was a tremendous performance by Ben, and Sean also, who came up before the break. Well, rounds 7 to 11 were always going to be tough. Have a look at the draw. St Kilda at Moorabbin, Geelong at Cardinia Park, Collingwood for their first official match here at Football Park, home and away, West Coast, where they haven't been beaten at the Wacker on a Friday night, and North Melbourne at Football Park. To take us through, Max Stevens.
Adelaide's next trip was to Moorabbin, the Saints, Lockett and Lowe, and a hostile St Kilda crowd. The Crows didn't have fond memories of their last visit to this ground. Unfortunately, things weren't about to change, despite Adelaide leading at quarter time 4-5 to 4-2. The game would be one out of the centre, and that's exactly what happened. 10-3 the Saints at half-time to 5-6. The final scoreline of 21-13-139 wasn't pleasing for the South Australian-based side, 9-11-65. In round 8, the long haul to Cardinia Park and Geelong. The less said about this game, the better. Last season's match at the same ground would haunt the Crows. A 10-goal kicking spree by the Cats in the first pretty well sums things up. The sooner the bus was called, the better, as it simply got worse. In summing up, well, let's just say Geelong had a very good day, booting home 32 goals to Adelaide's 12. Room for improvement was the order of the day when Collingwood ventured to Football Park, and the Crows showed plenty of improvement in a classic game of Aussie rules. 2 points separated the two sides at half-time, and after 3 quarters, the only difference was a straight kick. The game had everything. It was clear the side prepared to put in during the final term would take the 4 points. The Magpies' straight kicking and determination saw them through. Collingwood returning to Victoria Park, more than just happy, 9-15 to 9-10.
The quick kick comes down towards half-forward. Gary Pert and Wren with that. They need a quick goal. Here's a chance. Liptak, he should have handballed it. Still a chance. Mock for a goal.
Geez, impressive. Hart, he and Wren. Jarman, Hart again. Adelaide just trailed by 7 points. Good lead, Ingerson, and a good kick, and he takes it.
To the Wacker and the West Coast Eagles under lights in round 10. The weather would play a major part in this game as conditions were dreadful. The Eagles did a lot of damage in the first term, and it could be said they did enough to put themselves in a winning position. Catch-up football for the Crows all night. Although in the final 30 minutes there were some positive signs as Adelaide clawed its way back, getting a little closer to the West Coast Eagles' final score, 17-16 to 11-12.
Runs straight into Warsfold. Hart sidesteps quickly, goes for goal, kicks it very well.
Bends it back beautifully, straight through the middle.
Round 11 and light at the end of what had been a very dark four-match tunnel. North Melbourne came to town and Adelaide came out with all guns blazing. This would be the Crows' turning point. It was tight after the first break, however Adelaide showed its worth in the second, holding a handy lead at half-time, 11-7 played 9-5. The Crows continued to sail ahead. The Kangaroos made several attempts to get back into the match, but Adelaide's defence kept them at bay. And 21-17 to 16-11 put the Crows back on track and ready for Hawthorn a week later.
Murphy's got it. Gets it away to Hart. Hart snaps. He's good from that situation. He's very good.
Darryl Hart in great form there. Announced today that he'll be captain coach of North Adelaide. We wish him well. It was a tough stretch, wasn't it? A really tough stretch. Well done, Darryl. 4 of those 5 teams went on to play in the finals, including the 2 grand finals from last weekend, Geelong and West Coast. Well, Chris McDermott currently leading by 29. Let's have a look at the votes. Round 7, St Kilda, and he stretched that lead a bit because he got all 5 first preferences. So McDermott to 25 votes from round 7. In round 8 against Geelong, McDermott and McGuinness shared it this time. McGuinness with 15 and McDermott with 10, the 2 max. Collingwood here at Football Park, Scott Lee got 4 of the first preferences for 20 votes, and Andrew Jarman with 5. West Coast, Mark Bickley 20, Chris McDermott 5. And North Melbourne, well, Sean Wren must love playing against North Melbourne. Remember that last match of 1991 when he started? Well, he got all 25 votes from the match against North Melbourne here at Football Park. So we check the leaders board after the first 11 rounds and we see that Chris McDermott has stretched it a bit. He's moved up to a 54-point lead. Tony McGuinness has gone to a clear second. Ben Hart in 3rd placing. Sean Wren has moved up from 5th position. He's gone into 4th position with 121, and Mark Bickley has just swapped places with Andrew Jarman, moving into 5th place.
It had to be you. My name is Mark Allen Bickley. My nickname is Skip, and when I'm not playing football, I'm an electrician. I'm a Leo. I'm single, but I have a girlfriend called Tanya. My favourite movie is Die Hard. It was action-packed, and Bruce Willis seemed to get out of all the trouble. My favourite actor is Bruce Willis, and my favourite female actor is Kirstie Alley. My favourite TV show is Cheers. It's a real laugh. My favourite artist is Harry Connick Jr. My favourite album, I've got lots, but it depends what mood I'm in, to which one I like the most. My favourite sport other than football is golf. I've got a handicap, my swing. My most memorable occasion occurred in Brisbane when we were doing a short training run before we played the Bears. Everyone was very serious, especially the coach Graham Corns, but unfortunately while he was giving his talk, he'd put his shorts on backwards and all the players were laughing. My most embarrassing moment was when I come down from the country to play with South Adelaide. My first training run, we went on a long run, about 10 or 15 kilometres, and it was very hot and I collapsed. My most admired person is Steve Monaghetti. The person I'd most like to meet is John F. Kennedy. My ultimate fantasy is to run a marathon in the Olympics and win gold. If I could be anyone else in the world, I'd like to be Harry Connick Jr. because he's a great musician and he's very suave.
As the binoculars that Graham Corns likes to look through.
Hi, my name's Jonathan Lester Ross. They usually call me Rossi. When I'm not playing footy, I work at a plant nursery. My star sign is Scorpio. I am single, but I have a lovely girlfriend called Helen. Favourite movie would have to be Backdraft, because it was just action-packed all the way through. And favourite male actor would have to be the Australian Mel Gibson. And favourite female actor would have to be Sharon Stone. Favourite TV program would have to be Married with Children. Always get a laugh out of it. My favourite artist would have to be, because I like heavy rock and a bit of headbang and stuff, and the Angels would have to be the Angels or AC/DC. Favourite album would have to be Tracks Australian Made, because it was just a great selection of Australian music. Favourite sports other than footy would have to be either fishing or Golf, probably. My most memorable moment would have to be playing my first league game with my brother. Most embarrassing moment would have to be at Nord Oval, 10 metres out, missed, hit the post. My most admired person would have to be Wayne Gardner, because he shows he's got balls to get on that bike. The person who I'd really like to meet would have to be my favourite actor, Mel Gibson. If I had the opportunity to be anyone in the world, it'd have to be Tony McGuinness, because he makes a lot of money, even more than Penny. My ultimate fantasy would have to be, because I'm a bit of a fisherman, I'd like to go fishing with Ellie McPherson, so she can bait my hooks.
Gee, Tony McGuinness's pay packet, and I used to think it was Earl McPherson, but Ellie McPherson she is tonight. Look like they're leading the count. Jonathan, well done. He was one of 10 new players this year, one of 4 teenagers, and he played the last 8 games of the season. A terrific start for Jonathan Ross. Graham Corns, we saw before the break. Graham's not here tonight. He's in America. The Crows will be leaving on Sunday, the lucky players, on a training camp over there, and Graham's just sorting things out, I think, this week for the players. I'm sure he's going around and having a look at all those gridiron ovals, guys, so you have to go for a run when you get out there. And there are 9 players that are not here tonight that have been involved with the club because they're involved in the grand final on Saturday from Port Adelaide and Glenelg. We wish the South Australian National Football League all the best for that grand final, and also to the 2 clubs, Port and Glenelg. Let's hope it's a terrific match. I'm sure it will be. Let's go to the middle part of the season, rounds 12 through to 15. The Crows win 2 out of 4, and in many ways this might have been the highlight of the year. Let's join Max Stevens as he takes us through that match at Waverley Park.
He's up behind him, back to Collindy, caught by Hart, loses control, Mickens' hand pass is good, lip tack to McGuinness from 50 metres.
June 8, round 12, the halfway point of the AFL season. It also marked one of Adelaide's greatest games. The venue was Waverley, the opposition final specialist Hawthorn. While early indications didn't clearly show it as a brilliant encounter, the further the game progressed, the better it became. Hawthorn always appeared to have the edge, and Adelaide was once again having trouble finishing it off when kicking for goal. At three-quarter time, the state of play was Hawthorn 11-9 to 9-12. It was the Crows' turn to say never lie down, and that's what won it for them in the end. Kicking for goal became second nature. The closing stages were unforgettable.
Still there for Lee. Off the ground, Scott Lee. Oh, he's done it. A loose ball. This is Bickley. McGuinness, the danger man. Bickley again. Set sail for home. Mark Bickley in. Don't tell me he's kicked it.
This is going to land 45 metres out. Hacked out of there.
Oh.
The hand pass to Hart. And Darryl Hart. Has it cleared the line? Yes!
We move to round 13 now, and when you think things are going your way, the strangest things can happen. Adelaide's love-hate relationship with Princess Park would continue. Carlton's home has a habit of making sides uneasy. The Crows were always around the mark, but the Blues just managed to keep their heads above water. 17-13, Adelaide 13-14.
Which way will it go? Man in front, should have been paid. Ingerson will swing onto his left hand. He's found Brown. He should run in and goal.
The woes would continue for the Crows, this time on their home turf. Essendon was belted on this ground during a pre-season match in 1991. It surely embarrassed Kevin Sheedy and the team from Windy Hill. Preparation on this occasion was more intense, and Sheedy made no bones about it. The South Australian football public would enjoy, but go home disappointed, and that's what happened. At three-quarter time, the game was up for grabs. The Crows 12-8, Essendon 11-9. However, a final 10-goal burst by the Victorians saw Adelaide kick a mere 2, and that was the ball game.
Jarman will take it away. Tasker, kick it, still with the ball. Denham, handball back. Kick by Salmon, goal.
It was time for the Crows to strut their stuff in the winner's circle. The side from the Harbour City fronted up all right, but that's about the only thing it did right. The running connection of Adelaide was back in form, and the Swans couldn't get a sniff.
Oh, read that well. Is that a free kick? No. Hengo. Caught. That'll be holding the ball.
Bays to bring it back in, so Graham Corns running both Micken and Wren. Jarman was the fly. Here's Wren again.
Schwerk, clever. Jarman can go for goal. Drop punt, sizes it
Without
up,
being
and
too harsh, the Sydney boys did their best, but the Crows did far more than that, and the scoreboard said it all. An impressive victory at the right time. 22-17, 13-4, and that's round 15.
He could make him pay with the left foot. I think he has.
No mark in the finish to Maynard. Taken away by Matthew Liptak to the half-forward line. Over the back was Micken. Well done as he taps it on to Saliba. Saliba breaks clear from 45 metres, fires in a goal and slams it through for a great goal.
Yes, an outstanding win by the Crows on their Friday night, winning 2 of the 4 matches from rounds 12 to 15. We look at the votes. What a clash it was with the 2 Jarmans in full flight at Waverley Park against Hawthorn. Andrew Jarman with 10 votes, Tony McGuinness with 10 and Sean Wren with 5. So a mix there. David Marshall got all of the votes at Princess Park against Carlton, all 25 of them. At Essendon, the game at Football Park, Daryl Hart with 20, getting 4, and Tony McGuinness with 5. And against Sydney, again a mix here. Sean Wren starring with 15. He got 3 first preferences. Andrew Jarman 5 and Daryl Hart again to the 4 with 5. So as we look at the leaders board, we see that Chris McDermott's lead has been reduced to 39. Tony McGuinness in second position still. Equal third, still the 2 young tyros, Ben Hart and Sean Wren. Andrew Jarman has swapped places with Mark Bickley. They're having a great battle at the moment. Jars has moved up to 5th. Mark Bickley just behind him, and then Scott Lee on 90, and rounding up the top 8, Matthew Liptak on 67.
Hi, I'm Anthony Graham Ingerson. My nickname's Ingo, and I work in the building profession. My star sign is Libra, and I'm single. My favourite 2 films are Back to the Future and Pretty Woman, basically because of Julia Roberts. My favourite female actor is Debbie Moore, and male actor is Michael Douglas. My favourite TV program is Mr Bean because of Rowan Atkinson. My favourite artists are R.E.M., but my favourite album is Rattle and Hum. My favourite pastime other than football is playing golf, but unfortunately I'm not very good at it. My most memorable occasion was winning the Reserves Grand Final with Central Districts in 1989 and my AFL debut with the Crows. One of my most embarrassing moments was watching myself and Sean Tasker on the Mitre 10 commercial, seeing as it was the first time I'd ever acted for TV. My most admired person is Zig Ziglar. He's a motivator and I've listened to a few of his tapes and they were fantastic. The person I'd most like to meet would be Robin Williams because he'd be a lot of fun to be with. If I had the opportunity to be anyone, it would be the basketball great Michael Jordan because of his athleticism. My ultimate fantasy would be to hit a hole-in-one when I'm playing golf with my father, especially since he kicks my ass every time I play with him.
Put on your best dress, darling. Can't you see? Tremendous finish of football. I don't think anybody watching would have been disappointed apart from Victorians. We've got beaten. Jeez, it's hard to cop it over here when you get beaten.
He's a great supporter of interstate footy, and 40,000 parochial South Australian fans can make EJ cry. He gets confused a bit, Teddy. He works for a Geelong radio station, and he's the great from Footscray, so you can imagine what it was like for him on preliminary final day, broadcasting for Geelong against his great love, Footscray. But we showed you those highlights of the Crow Eaters as opposed to the Crows here tonight, because we felt that tonight was a fitting occasion to pay tribute to the players who took part in that match. All 44 players who took part from both teams. It was a wonderful match. There's been so much written about the game beforehand, who wasn't playing and who was injured, and that it would be a disappointment. It was a showcase. It was a magnificent event. It was a great victory for South Australia. And what about Tony Hall? Who would ever forget that goal? I reckon that's one of the great goals that we've seen in AFL footy. A terrific performance. And the team of the year, by the way, 3 Crows, we mentioned with Ben Hart and Tony McGuinness and Chris McDermott, and 7 South Australians are amongst the 20 named this year in the 1992 AFL Team of the Year. Let's go forward. July, rounds 16 through to 19. Here's Max.
To Waverley Park again, round 16. Footscray was a definite finals contender, and second on the ladder was proof enough of that. It was going to be a bad day at the office for Adelaide. Footscray was showing the Crows why it was in the top 6 and the South Aussies weren't. From the end of the first quarter to the final siren, Footscray had control of the ball. 22-11, 143 gave the Dogs some percentage, but little pleasure for the Crows, 8-8, 56.
Point blank range. Footscray forward line very open. He plays on again unselfishly to Grant. Grant from point blank range makes it look so simple.
A bye in the 17th round would have been well received by the Crows. Their next mission was to beat Melbourne at home. That too didn't quite go according to the wishes of the South Australian football public. It was as though the Demons were playing on their home ground and Adelaide was the visitor. In fact, Melbourne, who was 12th on the ladder, gave the Crows a football lesson.
He gives it to Roberts. He's got no one in front of him. He kicks it into the pocket. It's not a bad pass. Left half forward, not a bad kick by Charles. It's bouncing right to the line. It's a goal to Melbourne.
In fighting, boxers always claim they learn from a solid beating. The same can be said in football. Round 19 and the Crows came off the canvas to knock out Fitzroy. This bout would be the start of a great run for the Crows, a confidence booster that would show the players they can come back and be a force in this competition.
Micken to do the rough work against Brett Stevens. Brett Stevens always gives his all for the Lions. Jarman, little hand pass, Daryl Hart completes proceedings and kicks another goal. Lynch's short kick, maybe a little too high. Yes, it was. Tregenza, who's played quite well as a player in the square on his own. No, unselfishly, he goes to Daryl Hart. Daryl Hart looking for goal number 6, the handball to Hodges. Hodges kick up into the goal square.
Adelaide couldn't do a thing wrong. Graham Corns appeared to have his Chargers playing a different brand of football. Well, that's how it looked. A final scoreline of 21-6, 132. The Lions 7-5, 47. It was sweet revenge for Adelaide in many ways. However, more importantly, the side played as a team. Things would only get better.
In turn across to Lee. How they run there. Smart, a class player. Back into the square. Not a good kick. Micken behind. Liptak once again. A high ball. Look how far this man is in front.
Yes, Monta with 7 goals and D Hart with 5, and the start of a real flurry for the Adelaide Crows. Well, Chris McDermott leading by 29 as we go into round 16 against Footscray. Mark Bickley, who's coming home with a rush, got all 25 votes, the 5 first preferences. Round 17 a bye. Round 18 against Melbourne at Football Park. Chris McDermott, all 5 best for 25. And in round 19 against Fitzroy, Chris, I think you're going to take some tossing here. All 5 best again for another 25. So as we have a look at the leaders board, now it's not impossible. Tony McGuinness can still win. There are 125 votes to be counted and Chris only leads by 89. I've just worked that out. But Chris, you're way away at the moment. I'd like to have something on you at the evens. McDermott leading with 260 from McGuinness 171. Then Hart and Wren both on 141. Bickley moved up to 5th 135. And Jars on 122.
Hi, my name's Simon Lee Tregenza. My nickname's Trigger and I'm a student. I'm single and my star sign is Pisces. My favourite movie is The Taxi Driver. My favourite male actor is Robert De Niro, who was in The Taxi Driver, and my favourite female actor is Meryl Streep. My favourite TV program is A D-Generation. My favourite band is U2. My favourite album is Moondance by Van Morrison. My favourite sport, other than football, is cricket, where I bat number 3 for Sacred Heart Old Scholars. My most memorable occasion is the 89 and 90 grand finals victories for Port, as well as the starting of the Crows. My most embarrassing moment was during the 1989 grand final, where my opponent kicked the only goal for North Adelaide. My most admired person is the English cricketer Ian Botham. The person who I'd like to meet the most is the film director Martin Scorsese. My ultimate fantasy would be to play cricket for Australia. If I had the opportunity to be anyone else in the world, I'd want to be Eddie Wilson. And if you've ever seen the movie Eddie and the Cruisers, you'd know why.
G'day, my name's Matthew George Liptak. My nickname is Lipsock, basically because I wear my socks down. I'm relaxing from studies at the moment, but hopefully one day I'll become a doctor. I'm a Taurus and I'm single at the moment, and I've got a girlfriend by the name of Jo. My favourite movie is Chariots of Fire, basically because it's very inspirational and just a great movie to watch. My favourite actress is Sherilyn Fenn, and favourite actor is the funny man Robin Williams. TV programs I've problems picking one out. Favourite one probably is Blackadder, but I love Alive and Sweaty as well. Andrew Denton is just a great laugh. Favourite artist is a guy by the name of Wayne Ringrow. G'day Wayne if you're watching. Favourite album? I don't have a favourite album. There's just too many to pick from. Depends on my mood, depends on the day. Just anything takes me, I like it. Favourite sport? Once again, I don't have one, but any type of sport going, I love just getting into it. Outdoor activity, anything, it's just fantastic. My most memorable occasion definitely would be my first game in the AFL, playing against North Melbourne, and playing for Glenelg in the 1990 grand final, even though we did lose. Just great being there. My most embarrassing moment was during a Foster's Cup game against Carlton this year. I was running around trying to get a few kicks and my jocks broke. And I guess you could say loose was the word. Most admired person would be Carl Lewis. Anyone who can achieve what he's done over his career is just amazing. The person I'd most like to meet would have to be H.G. Nelson. Anyone who can think on his feet as well as he can must be just fascinating. If I could be anyone else, I'd like to be Oprah Winfrey, because anyone who can make the amount of money she does for doing what she does must be doing something right. My ultimate fantasy, I can't tell you my ultimate fantasy on air, but if you'd like to ring 0055 2315, I'm sure the hotline will tell you.
I've just made a note of that number for everyone here, 0055 2315. I don't know how he gets time to be a medical student, a footballer and a receptionist all in one, but Matty Liptak, who's had another very good year, and good luck with his studies. He's got some big decisions to make over the next couple of years. Well, the Crows really did come home with a flurry. We've already mentioned that the last 5 matches were tremendous. Victories at the MCG over Richmond, against Brisbane at Carrara, St Kilda here, when the Saints had everything to play for that night. Geelong before a record crowd of over 46,000 people. Scotty Hodges kicking 11, and then a very unlucky second to Collingwood at Victoria Park. Here's Max.
Looks good as they're combining Liptak and
5 rounds to go for season 92, and this run would put Adelaide firmly on the map. Round 20, the open spaces of the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Richmond was never going to be a monster threat. The Crows flew in and tamed the young Tigers. Adelaide started well, kicking 5-2 in the first and never looked back. It became a case of how much would they win by. A lead of 94 points at the third break was a beautiful thing. The hard work had paid off. The final scores are worth a mention. 24-19, 163. The Tigers not their usual roar, 7-11, 53.
Going for goal number 5, Daryl Hart, and he loves them, doesn't he?
To Carrara now and the Brisbane Bears. Round 21 would also bring joy to the Crows and their many thousands of fans back in South Australia.
Down to the forward pocket to Hodge. If he had it, lost it, didn't want it all. Wiedemann went in hard. Did he ever? Free kick.
Like the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the open spaces at Carrara seem to work well for the Crows, and they work the ball well. It's a long trip to the Gold Coast, an even longer home when you don't win. But that wasn't going to be the case for this side. 17-8 to 11-11 saw Adelaide win 3 on the trot. As the season drew to a close, the matches would only get tougher, as Adelaide's next 3 games were against grand final prospects. First St Kilda at Football Park. A win for the Saints would guarantee them a spot in the finals. Going into the game, they were 7th and the Crows 9th. After a poor first quarter, Adelaide showed its value in the second, kicking 4 to the Saints 1. At the end of the third, there was only a kick in it and either team had a chance. On this occasion, poor kicking by the opposition would be their downfall. But credit to Adelaide's defence, their runners and their forwards. The final 6 was out of the question, but winning was still very important.
Wobbly kick, important ball. Oh, Joe. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Drop punt passes a gem.
With a club record of 4 wins behind them, even the bookies weren't keen if you wanted to back Geelong in round 23. Sitting pretty on top of the ladder with 15 wins to their credit, it was still hard to back the Crows. But that was a mistake. 5 goals against the wind in the first saw most serious punters head for the hills. The onslaught continued as the Cats got caught napping.
McGuinness. Wren from 50. Wren has gold from 50.
Geelong started to look like a grand finalist in the third, but that lasted for only a few minutes and Adelaide again was in control. But as they say, it's not over until the fat lady sings, and as she made her way to the stage, the Crows piled on another 7 to walk away easy winners.
McGrath bumped off it by McDermott. In comes Rowe. Rowe shot for goal. It looks pretty good. It's another goal.
So to Victoria Park and the final game of season 1992. It's a strange place, and unless you've been there, it's fairly hard to explain. The people just seem different, and only a goon would wear an opposing team's cap. This would be the test of all tests for the Adelaide side. 5 in a row. Could they make it 6? Well, the fairy tale had to come to an end. The Magpies struggled all day as the Crows kept in touch. The last quarter was a letdown as goals were points when only goals were needed. All the same, it was a brave effort by the young Adelaide Crows, losing by just 5 points.
Got a chance to goal. Drop punt, misses.
Well, I'm trying to do a Max Bashir or Ross Oakley here and shuffle these votes so that Chris McDermott can get really nervous sitting alongside Tony McGuinness over there, but I'm not having a lot of luck. Round 20 against Richmond at the MCG. McDermott 15 and Lee 10. Round 21 against Brisbane at Carrara. Mark Bickley, who's coming home with a real rush with 25. Round 22, that great game against St Kilda, and the 2 Macs here, McDermott 15 and McGuinness 10. Round 23 against Geelong. Controversial here, Scotty Hodges kicked 11, but Tony McGuinness only had about 55 touches and they all went to advantage. 25 for you there, Tony, against Geelong. And at Collingwood, they were spread about 4 players. Mark Bickley 10, Ben Hart 5, Sean Wren 5. At last, and certainly not least, Chris McDermott with 5 more. So as we go and have a look at the final leaders board, it's obvious who has won the Club Champion Award for 1992. The captain courageous, Chris McDermott, with 295 from Tony McGuinness and Mark Bickley, Ben Hart and Sean Wren equal fourth. Chris, if you'd like to come up, congratulations. I'd also like to welcome the chairman of the Adelaide Football Club, Bob Hammond, and Mark Micken, if you could come up as the 1991 club champion. Well, Chris has had a superb year. AFL Team of the Year Vice Captain, more possessions than anyone else, runner-up in the Sports World Footballer of the Year. And Bob, it's with pleasure that I welcome you to make the official announcement. Bob Hammond.
Thank you, Bruce. It is my pleasure to announce officially that Chris McDermott, our captain, has won the Club Champion Award for season 1992. It would be remiss of me not to say a quick few words of Chris. He's been an outstanding captain as far as the Crows are concerned. Not only on the field, off the field, the work that he's done with the young players has been absolutely fantastic. His season's been capped with being named vice-captain of the All-Australian side, the most possessions in the AFL, and I think it is fitting that we now officially announce Chris McDermott the winner of the 1992 Club Champion Award. It's my pleasure to place the medal around Chris's neck, and following the tradition, I would ask that the inaugural winner of the club champion, that Mark Micken hand over the 1992 blazer.
Thanks, Bob. It's hard to be, I guess, overly thrilled when we've had such an up and down year. Certainly I'm honoured to receive the award. But obviously you don't do these things alone, and I mean, the whole thing's about the success of the side, and we didn't have the desired success we're after this year, so I guess you can't be totally thrilled. I'd just like to thank and congratulate the players on the year they've had this year. You know, it wasn't outstanding on the scoreboard, I suppose, but I really think we made progress as a side, and you know, it's a fairly tough competition, and I think we've matured as a side, we've grown as a side. We know now that we can compete in this competition, and you get some inspiration out of watching the West Coast Eagles last week. For those who were there, and I'm sure all of us saw it, was a magnificent effort by a young side in the competition, not much older than we are, and if you can't draw some inspiration and some optimism out of that, well, you know, you don't know the game very well, and you know, if we train a little bit harder, do things a little bit better, then that's certainly something that's certainly achievable for us in the not too distant future. Just like to thank everybody that was associated with the side this year, from the coaching staff to the training staff, BJ and his little horde of helpers there. I guess they don't get much thanks, but certainly the boys certainly appreciate the work you've done. It'd be remiss of me if I don't thank Juliet for all her help. I guess all us footballers are strange beasts, and we're not very nice blokes during the season, and they put up with a lot, so I must thank her. And also thank you know, my family and relatives. They've been magnificent support, I guess, over the years, and you don't often get a chance to thank them, so whilst I'm here, I'd just like to thank them. Thank the public of South Australia for their support of the club. You know, we are going places, we are hungry for success, and I guess that's the main thing in this competition. If you want success and you're willing to work for it, then it can be achieved. And you know, 1993 is going to be a big year for this club. There's a lot of hard work to be done, but you know, it's an exciting year. It's a good time to be around the place, and just look forward to your support next year. Thanks very much.
The captain asked me whether if I wanted him to be brief or not. I said, just work it out yourself. But I just want to ask you a couple of questions. One, Chris, the highlight of the year. What was the match that you remember mostly?
Oh, the Hawthorn game for sure. I mean, that was a real crucial point for us in the year, and I think we learned a lot after that game, although our performances after that sort of dropped a little bit for a couple of weeks. When we did come back and found our feet again, we were certainly a much better side. So, you know, that was certainly the highlight of the year.
You've got a lot of your supporters and sponsors here tonight, and a lot of thousands watching. Your expectations for next year?
Well, I don't think we can. I mean, we set our sights this year at reaching the top 6, and it wasn't achieved. So, therefore, it's disappointing. But next year, I mean, it must be achieved. We've got to keep going forward. And we did. While we didn't progress on the scoreboard, we did progress as a side. We matured as a side. And I mean, you see the young fellas that we've seen on screen tonight. The Wrens, the Harts, the Bickleys, the Rosses. The future of the club. Well, it's time that. I mean, we don't say they're the future of the club. They're the present club. And we've got high expectations of these people. And not only the old, but the young have all got to perform at the right level. And I think we've just started to learn what that level is. And next year we've got to show that we're capable of producing it week in, week out, not just for 3 weeks here or 3 weeks there.
Chris, once again, congratulations. Wouldn't it be great if this man could hold the AFL Cup aloft in the next 2 or 3 years? He deserves it. He joins Mark Micken as the club champion from the Adelaide Crows. And I hope you've enjoyed the telecast through 7 Sport. Good night from Football Park Convention Centre.